Thank you. I'm going to enter this courthouse with my head held high, knowing the actions that I took were not only lawful and legal, but right.
Rick Perry, who's the longest-serving governor in Texas history and was due to retire in January, now finds he's going to go out with a bang, sort of. He's actually been indicted on 2 felonies, which basically means he'll stand trial. This whole saga starts with the drunk driving arrest of the district attorney in Travis County, a woman by the name of Rosary Lemberg. Now, Rick Perry has long disliked this person and this office for a very simple reason. Travis County is a sort of a democratic oasis, if you like, in a broader Republican desert in Texas. In other words, the Republicans overwhelmingly dominate Texas, but the Democrats control this office, which is also responsible for investigating allegations of corruption. It has been a real thorn in the Republican side in Texas. Now, Rick Perry, having seen this drink driving charge and having seen the way Ms. Lemberg behaved, demanded that she resign and threatened to use his constitutional power to veto the budget of the anti-corruption office. He's been accused of misusing the power of his office to effectively intimidate her into resigning.
Time and time again, America has been the source of light in a world that's been beset by darkness.
Well, on the national stage, Rick Perry, like a lot of Texans, comes across as a kind of, right-wing ideologue, but I don't think that's a fair picture, and it's certainly not how he's viewed in Texas. He started as a Democrat in Texas. He took over as governor from George W. Bush, and he's a tough conservative, but he's a highly successful local Texas politician who's wanted to translate that success onto the national stage, but has so far struggled to do so.
Thanks for coming out. Thank y'all.
Mr. Perry, as you would remember, famously made a bid for the Republican nomination for the 2012 presidential election, but after coming in at the top of the polls and looking like a really sterling candidate who could take the nomination off Mitt Romney and others, he fell really flat on his face through a series of mainly poor debate performances. He fluffed his lines. He was beaten in one-on-one debates. He looked, very much out of sorts physically. As it turned out, he had a bad back and was on a heavy dose of painkillers. He was, I think, the most embarrassing flop from a large slate of Republican candidates who all wanted the nomination for the presidential election that year.
Brian,
welcome.
how are you?
Good to have you here.
Thanks for your service.
Jose.
Jose, this is your place. How are you, sir?
Yes, it is.
It's not a good thing for the Republican Party. They've got a whole slate of potential candidates for 2016, and none of them who might be mainstream candidates seem to be able to pull ahead of the pack. You have Chris Christie under a cloud in New Jersey. You've now got Rick Perry under a cloud in Texas. And the Republican who is pulling ahead of the pack is Rand Paul, who's a sort of soft libertarian, who I think many Republicans, the establishment Republicans, the mainstream Republicans, would be very, very loath to see as their candidate in 2016 because they would probably think he's unelectable. So seeing people like Rick Perry tarnished, I think, is bad news.
It is outrageous that some would use partisan political theatrics to rip away at the very fabric of our state's constitution.
I think this is really about Texan partisan politics, and in that respect, I think the partisanship and the way people view this nationally is a little bit more muted. But if Rick Perry were to become a formidable candidate in 2016, I think the Democrats nationally would make this a very partisan issue.